Okay, so some of you may remember when we did the CEO program, Sam Lewis. He is the one that had the hydro-dipped water bottles and was giving a percentage back to a organization for saving oceans, providing water. Just a great all-around kid. And then he decided he got a 3D printer, I believe, for Christmas and wanted to do more good. So he decided to start making some masks for local nursing homes and residential, the retirement community type things, hospitals, doctor's office, whatever. And so we wanted Sam to come back and give us an update on how his project went and if it's still going. So take it away, Sam.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again for having me. It's been a while since I've done anything like this, so it's pretty cool to do. Yeah, so March 13th was our last day of in-person school. And starting then, I knew pretty quickly I was going to get kind of bored because online school was rather easy at the time. So I did some research. I started looking around for different ways I could help out during this. And I have a friend in California. His name's AJ Apone, and he started the Mask Initiative. And so they're doing a similar thing there. They were also 3D printing masks. So I asked him for some advice on anything I could do in my area to help out. And so about 2 days after that, he was able to give me some advice and we talked for a bit and I was able to get things going with one printer. And at the beginning, my main focus, as you mentioned, was getting into nursing homes and retirement communities because I figured that was the area that was either most at risk or would be affected a good amount, or not a good amount, but yeah. And so I originally started off targeting that. At the beginning, I had about 80 orders and kind of like a backlog back order. And so that was extremely stressful at the time because we only had one printer. We could do about 3 masks a day, which is extremely low. So luckily I was able to order another printer and get that in pretty quick. So we were able to fill about 80 orders in the first 2 weeks. After that was out, I kind of felt like it was pretty stressful again. I was kind of in over my head at the beginning there. Trying to get through that backlog of orders. But after that, it was pretty smooth sailing. Occasionally we'd have some printer issues and those take anywhere from 2 to 8 hours to fix, which is kind of crazy at the time. I remember a couple nights I'd be up till about 2 a.m. trying to fix like one little piece on the printer to get it to finally work and work perfectly each time. Once everything got going, we were able to get around 9 masks done per day. And that was pretty big at that point. So each week we were able to do, oh my God, I haven't done math in a while. I'm sorry. 63 a week at that point. So each mask is made out of PLA, which is a biodegradable and medical grade plastic. From then, each of like the outer shells here, you can see the outer part that was sprayed and sealed so nothing can get in past it already being fused plastic. From there, we tied on each of the strings here and put in the filter in the cotton pad. Along with that, each mask came with 6 extra filters, so it would last at least a week. I will say it was definitely a lot of little tedious work working on and tying each of these knots. I don't know if you can see this. I'll try to show it, but like each of the knots on the mask here, we ended up tying over 1,000 of these tiny little knots. So that was more of a tedious, not as fun part. Yeah, so my next idea was to try to go ahead and create a decent amount of these masks. So create around 100 to just have in stock and have ready for orders, because I was assuming those are going to pick back up. But to my surprise, it didn't actually. So we had no orders after about 2 weeks, and that's when things got a little weird because I had all these donations and I had to do something with it. So I decided I called every single nursing home in the area and any nursing home within about half-hour drive. And so from that, I was able to get up about 116 orders. And I felt like things were kind of going well here, and it was a lot of fun. And it was nice to be able to drive to these places and be able to talk to people and give them the masks, because you know that you know exactly who they're going to, and you can talk to the people, and kind of felt good to be able to do something like that. And then from there, we started filling about some mask orders that were anywhere between 5 and 10, and those are kind of nice because you could do those in about a day. And towards the end here for the past month, I met Matthew Bogard, and he works at the Madison County Emergency Management Agency. And he's definitely one of the nicest people I've met throughout this whole process. And they've allowed us to donate masks to them and almost work as a distribution service. So we were able to get our masks to them, and they would hand them out to whether it be nursing homes or fire departments or police stations, anyone who really needed them. So through him and with the Madison Emergency Management Agency, we were able to donate around 300 masks, and that brought our total up to over 500. And so actually on Monday, the 13th, we just wrapped up. And so we have a little bit of money left over, and that'll be donated to a charity working towards ending Corona and COVID. Right now, I have started to work on a new little project. I've been working on like these ear relief bands for employees and people who have to wear masks all day, and so those have been a big thing. But going back to the project, I will say I learned a lot. I learned a lot about 3D design and project management, and definitely trying to stay on budget. Because it's never really certain when you're going to get donations, so it's more of a spontaneous thing, and when that came in, that was a big relief. So being able to stay on budget and not go past that, and not go into too much debt with this. And yeah, I think that was definitely the biggest thing I learned was time management for sure, and being able to plan out my day to where I have a few hours every day, about 4 hours, to be able to work strictly just on these masks and get all the little work done on them and everything packaged up and sealed and cleaned and everything. And so, going back to the budget thing, I know we were printing about 9 masks a day, and we definitely could do more than that, but to be able to like stay somewhat on budget, we slowed the speed down to about 50 millimeters a second to keep that at a good pace. But yeah, definitely seeing people and being able to get out and get these to people and see them in person was a big deal for me. That was a lot of extra added motivation because you actually got to see who you're helping. So yeah, so that's kind of the story with that. And I've been doing it since March. And like I said, we just wrapped up this Monday. So overall, it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad we were able to help a good amount of people. But
thank you, Sam. And I'd like to open it up to any questions from anybody. Just go ahead and unmute yourself and fire away. I have one quick question that I was curious about. Knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently?
That's definitely a good one. I would have been more prepared and got supplies a lot sooner. So I know one of the big issues was shipping, and I know for a while that basically had shut down any products from China or foreign places was impossible to get. And so finding elastic straps for these masks was near impossible for the first 2 weeks. I know I was asking all my family going on Facebook, just trying to find people who had this elastic. But luckily a lot of those orders were able to catch back up. So we had a bit of a stockpile going into the second month. Yeah.
Okay. Masanda's asking, can you show us the printer?
Oh yeah, sure. I can run downstairs with my computer real fast if that works.
Sure.
Yeah. Cool. Let me grab this. I'll give you a little tour in there.
While you're running, Sam, how far did you send masks? Like, was it all local? Did you have to ship any out to other states?
No, so they were all local. We got lucky with that. The Management Emergency Agency was in Wood River, and they were able to stretch farther and get them out to a lot of different places in Illinois and Madison County. So.
While Sam's headed towards the printer, I might share a comment from Tracy Dooley that she was fortunate enough to have met Sam during the CEO program, and he's amazing. Congratulations, and thanks for the time she got to spend with him. So I know for many of you that have interacted with those students, it restores your faith in the younger generation for sure.
Cool. All right, so we ended up having 3 printers. I know they look kind of boring right now because there's not a whole lot going on with them, but I'll turn them on. Yeah, so we ended up with 3 printers here. They're all Ender 3 Pro printers. They can run up to about 100 millimeters a second, which would get the mask time down to about 2.5 hours. But like I said, we slowed that down a little bit to stay on budget. And so each mask ended up taking about 5.5 hours, or 5 minutes, 5 hours, 26 minutes is exactly what it was. So, yeah. Let me see. There's a better way to show this. But yeah, like I said, we have 3 of them. So each printer, you could fit 2 masks on it, but it ended up best to just fit 1. Because oftentimes there would be an issue or a little clog or something in the hot end, which is this piece here, and that would allow the whole thing to get messed up, and that was about $5 of filament there. So yeah.
Okay. Carolyn's wondering, what's the approximate cost of each mask?
Yeah, so with the filters and everything, it costs around $4 a mask. Yeah. Unfortunately, when we first started, PLA costs were about $15 to $20 a spool, and that went up to $30 pretty fast. So, yeah.
Have you thought about the other products that you're thinking about making?
Yeah. So I started working on. I'm starting a design business in college with a few of my roommates. And so yeah, I've been working on some different portfolio projects to try to get more practice and everything. So one of the things I've worked on is let's see, these are ear relief bands, and so it's basically for right now. I've been trying to reach out to different employers and people for their employees to provide like ear comfort. So it kind of takes the stress off the back of your ear and allows your mask to kind of hook onto it behind your ear. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's one project I've been working on with that. Yep.
How'd you create that?
Well, honestly, my ears are a little sore, and I just thought maybe there is something like this, maybe there isn't, but I'll look it up online. And I saw a lot of people were making like sewn versions, and they're about $8 a piece. And I know these I could create for about 20 cents or less. So I figured I'd try to make it myself and learn a little bit of 3D design at the same time.
I wonder, with as many people wearing masks today as there are, could that be sold as a separate product?
Yeah, I would definitely. I think that'd be an interesting idea to look into for sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I noticed on when I was reading your article in the Intelligencer, or the article about you in the Intelligencer, that your majors, what you plan on majoring in college, and one of them was like entrepreneurship. Is that something new? I'd never heard of that as a degree.
Yeah. So I'm doing electrical engineering as my major and entrepreneurship as my minor. And so at Alabama Huntsville, having an entrepreneurship minor, they're now introducing a new program to where through that minor, you can actually take a course in different product development, innovation, along with, as a group, one of your group projects is to start a business and run that for a semester. So that will hopefully start up around next year, which will be very interesting. Yeah. So my really my ultimate goal in life is I want to really have a robotics company. I feel like that'd be the coolest thing to have and be able to do that every day. So I figured electrical engineering, there's many different like avenues to kind of learn business and entrepreneurship. So I figured I'd do the electrical engineering in school because that's a bit more, it's harder to learn that way. So.
I'm in a meeting. Sorry. Let me see. Hold on.
Yeah. Talk about the drone project. Oh yeah. So recently for the past week, I started building a new drone. So the final product will be completely autonomous, along with having object detection and avoidance, which it sounds kind of fancy, but it's a fancy way of saying my original one, I crashed it a lot, and this one I prefer for that not to happen. So yeah, that's, I know that'll probably take at least another month to finish up. I'm not very good at coding and writing in Python and Java. So a lot of the code for it is actually open source. So I was very fortunate with that. So right now I'm working on some different 3D designs for that, and I'll get that printed out along with getting everything wired up here soon. Yeah.
What plans do you have for your drones? What would they be able to do?
Yeah, so it will have 5 ultrasonic sensors on it, which will allow it to detect distance. So like I said, that allows it to avoid crashing and running into buildings. Along with it will have a GPS sensor on it, so it'll technically be able to fly itself from a GPS coordinate to GPS coordinate. Now, in like a bigger picture, the way that could be used is I believe that drone shipping will be a huge thing in the future. I think that'd be something really cool to work on. So maybe making a prototype for that could work into this. Yeah. So the drone's more or less like a platform to kind of build off of and do different things with it, whether that's like land mapping or cinematography. Yeah.
What kind of weight restrictions do you see on drone shipping?
Honestly, so based on the size of the drone, if you were to have one that's maybe like maybe 1.5 feet wide or so, that could probably carry 5 to 10 pounds. So nothing extremely heavy, but like your average mail or your Amazon package for sure.
Okay. All right. Somebody's wondering if you could build one to transport Brian Mulhall from Greenville.
I don't know, that maybe that'd be interesting.
They can crash.
Take a few drones.
I definitely think it wouldn't crash. So yeah, so besides weather and all that, let's say we're a stormy day, that you obviously, there's a little bit of a restriction there. As far as water goes, it can mostly be watertight, waterproof. Yeah, so yeah, honestly, the bigger it is, it's able to carry like a bigger payload and a bit more steady. I know the only company to have a certified drone for this is Google right now, and that is in, I think, rural Texas, and they're allowed to deliver coffee. So right now, the main FAA restriction towards drone shipping is that you're not allowed to land with the package, which I know sounds like the weirdest restriction. And I know, I'm pretty sure it's just to prevent people from doing it, and it's really annoying, honestly.
Wow.
But the way a lot of companies, like, or not a lot, but there's two main companies doing it. I know Google is one of them. The way they've gotten around with that is they lower down their payload on a string, which in my opinion seems a little like hard to control almost. Yeah.
Mhm.
So.
Monica, if you wanted to unmute, I wanted to give you a chance to share your thoughts, your comments with Sam.
Well, Sam, thank you very much for donating the mask for our ECDC teachers. That was our first building that we were able to open in that phase 3 of state of Illinois. And we had a lot of parents that were very concerned, obviously, when they were sending their children back. And your masks have been great, because also, you know, the fear too with our staff having people come, but it was wonderful. And I've been fortunate to live right across the street from Sam and watch him grow up. So Sam, it's been a privilege and an honor to be your neighbor. And thank you for your dedication and support to so many in our community with your talented resources that you have. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. That means a lot for sure. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Are there any other questions from anybody? If not, how about if we give Sam a round of applause and appreciate it.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. It was really fun to do. I know, especially with CEO getting cut a little short this year, it's pretty cool to do some things like this again. So yeah, thank you guys.
And there's a lot of folks in here that would applaud you guys' efforts, the way that you hung in there and adapted in spite of what was thrown at you. So that's pretty cool. And just hopefully that'll just keep preparing you for the rest of your life. And you're going to the University of Alabama, Huntsville?
Yep. Starting there pretty soon with a couple online classes, and I'll be going to school about 3 days a week now. So, yep.
Cool. Awesome.
Right.
Well, we wish.
Well, if something happens and they consider, or if they take away school privileges, Sam, you should consider tutoring and put Gina Grebbing first on the list for Sam.
Hi.
I will for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Okay. All right. Well, next week, I think we've got Ann Tasovsky for the program, John Gibbons for the invocation. We've got a board meeting tonight at 7. And Masanda, are you able to set us up into breakout rooms?
He fell asleep.
No, he's ready. Okay. If you would join me in the 4-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth?
Truth,
Is it fair to
fair
all?
to all concerned,
Will
will
it
build goodwill and better friendships, will be beneficial to all concerned.
learn to hit that thing a little bit lighter and